Kennedy deploying DOJ personnel to protect ICE facilities, saying, quote, "At my direction, I am deploying DOJ agents to ICE facilities and wherever ICE comes under siege to safeguard federal agents, protect federal property, and immediately arrest all individuals engaged in any federal crime." It comes after a fatal shooting at a Dallas ICE facility we all saw it Wednesday, just the latest in a string of targeted attacks. DHS says that ICE officers are facing a 1,000% increase in assaults, and Texas alone has seen 3 incidents since June, something Ben Ferguson pointed out this week on CNN.
This is the 3rd attack we've seen in Texas, in the same district as the man in charge today was saying. Like, this is the 2nd time he's had to have a press conference today.
Who was killed today? Who was killed today?
So you're saying since it
That's
wasn't...
not what I'm at. No.
So you're saying since it wasn't... It was innocent people that were killed today.
Don't put words in my mouth.
You asked a question. I'm answering your question. You're saying since it wasn't ICE agents that were killed, that therefore this is a null and void conversation?
No. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Are you kidding me?
That's gaslighting. I'm asking you a simple question because when J.D. Vance went up there, and when you're coming up here...
This is not a good argument from you. Gavin Newsom went on TV last night. Did you see what he said? He said ICE agents are authoritarian. You don't think that can inspire someone to do that?
ICE agents should be able to come home every single night. And so don't put words in my mouth. I am acting like it, first. And second, the fact that you and J.D. Vance and every other Republican can go on here and talk about...
We're not shooting people. We're not shooting people. The left is shooting people, and they're being inspired by that.
That is the low...
I'm sorry. I have a friend that got shot and assassinated 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm a little bit hot on this one because you guys have been irresponsible with the rhetoric that is coming out from people on the left.
Speaking a lot of truth, radio host Ben Ferguson joins me now. Ben, you're doing God's work, going out into the liberal media and having these conversations. And the thing I always hear from the left is let's have a common basis of facts, right? I hear this all the time. And I was looking at when that conversation took place, and it was Wednesday. And at that point, we know that anti-ICE was written on a bullet. We know who the target of this attack was. So it is so disingenuous. It is so dishonest for anyone to go on and make any sort of suggestion that this was not an attack on our brave ICE men and women. What was that moment like for you?
I was shocked because I've known Bakari as long as you probably have. And I'm like, let me get this straight. You're saying since an ICE agent wasn't shot, therefore this is not a big deal because an immigrant was shot. I'm like, we know the target here. And the night before, they referred to them on TV, Gavin Newsom, 8 hours before that shooting, as ICE agents are authoritarian. And this is a pattern, Kaylee, and the Democratic Party knows what they're doing right now. I put a list together. Tim Walz said ICE agents are modern-day Gestapo. Gavin Newsom called ICE secret police, calling them authoritarian 8 hours before the shooting. J.D. Pritzker said the country is becoming Nazi Germany because ICE is grabbing people off the streets and, quote, disappearing them. You have Representative Kelly said ICE is the Gestapo and a betrayal. Crockett, ICE is a slave patrol. I've got another 9 or 10 of those. But it's very clear that the Democratic Party now has said, we go all in against ICE. We inspire people to stand up and fight back. We inspire them to go after them and dehumanize them. When you're calling people the Gestapo, the secret police, Nazis, authoritarian, what did you think was going to happen? And this is the 2nd time in this sector in Dallas where this same man who's in charge of ICE had to come out and talk about these heinous attacks. And Democrats aren't stopping. And proof of it last night is Hakeem Jeffries. What did he say about Donald Trump supporters? He said that those that showed up for the inauguration of Donald Trump were what? Some sort of psychos at a convention, freaks at a convention. That is what he thinks of all of the people that voted for Donald Trump.
Ben, 24 hours after you had that conversation, we had a press conference. And in that press conference, we learned that this ICE shooter, I'm going to call him that, had the specific intent of avoiding harming detainees. So you were, in fact, exactly correct in what you said. But I want to ask you how troubling it is, this denial of facts. I'm going to play later in the show a soundbite that shows right when this happened, there were people jumping on the motive saying, oh, it could be a right-wing attacker. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. Yeah. And it seems to me until we get left-wing commentators to say, Jasmine Crockett's rhetoric is wrong, the motive was this, until we get this common basis of facts, this violence, I hope not, but could continue because this rhetoric is deeply, deeply harmful.
It's not only harmful, but I think it's purposeful. And I do believe now that there is a wing of the Democratic Party, Kelly, and we have to start just talking about it for what it is. That is acting as if they're a terrorist organization. Because when you go out there and you continue this rhetoric days and hours after Charlie Kirk was killed, when you go out there and you disparage conservatives when the attack happens, whether it's on ICE, whether it's on Charlie Kirk, it is a pattern. And so what I think these Democrats are doing now, and many of them that I just mentioned, they know that something bad's going to happen because of their words. This is part of the Democratic playbook now. They are never going to stop, I don't believe, because they think that this is successful. They got a bullet on our president. They took out one of the top conservative leaders, and everyone else that I talked to in the conservative movement is asking the scary question, who's next? Because they're not stopping. They're doubling down. Jeffries last night, he's not lowering the rhetoric. He's raising the level of the rhetoric. And so is every other Democrat that I'm watching right now on TV.
Yeah, and then you have guys like Tyler Robinson, who had a, quote, left-wing motive, according to authorities. You had the ICE shooter who had an anti-ICE motive, and that's terror. That's terror. All right, Ben
Writing
Ferguson.
it on the bullets.
Writing it. Clear
Thank you.
message. Ben Ferguson, thank you.
I've been so deeply disappointed to see the footage from a half-decade ago, recycled and then recycled again. If President Trump came to Portland today, what he would find is people riding their bikes, playing sports, enjoying the sunshine, buying groceries or produce from a farmer's market, as the governor had noted. We've had hard conversations and we've done important work in the years since that footage was taken. We reformed our public safety system. We've refocused our community and on our economy. And we've redoubled our efforts to help our most vulnerable. In fact, we could use federal help for all those things I just listed. Imagine if the federal government sent hundreds of engineers or teachers or outreach workers to Portland instead of a short, expensive, and fruitless show of force.
Good morning to you. I can tell you there was a whole... Dana, good morning to you. I can tell you there was a whole lot of tension out here last night. We witnessed a violent fist fight that left a man unconscious and injured. We saw the American flag being burned. We saw people getting maced in the face. And then once again, we saw a bunch of clashes with federal agents. We'll dive right into the video. Take a look. This was last night, one of those clashes. You see federal agents bull rushing, coming out of the building and arresting a protester who had stepped onto federal property despite repeated warnings. There were protesters on a megaphone taunting the feds, saying, "What are you going to do if we step on the property?" Well, that person found out. There's another video we had showing agents chasing down and arresting a separate protester, though it's unclear exactly what she was detained for. Then take a look at this. This was that violent fight. These two men had been jawing at each other all night long. Then the fists started flying. The man in the white shirt was pro-ICE, the black shirt anti-ICE. He was the one who got laid out with a punch to the face. And minutes later, we saw him appear to collapse with federal agents and then go limp with some serious swelling to his face. Those feds had to carry him inside their building for medical attention. But Dana, Bill, there was no Portland police out here to intervene during any of this. It's an issue that the Portland ICE director told me has been an ongoing problem due to local politics. Take a listen.
Not really supposed to respond to this building. There have been folks that have been assaulted right down here on the street, even across the street, and it takes Portland police a while to respond, or sometimes they don't respond at all.
Is that frustrating?
It is frustrating. It's frustrating for us to watch people be attacked on the street and know that we don't have the authority to be able to really step in unless there's some nexus to federal law. That's frustrating for us.
Now, anti-ICE protesters also set This American flag on fire before it was ripped away by independent journalist Nick Sorter. He put the flames out and took the flag away. That led to him being cussed out by protesters. More on him in a second. But lastly, I want to show you this. Take a look. We witnessed this female protester getting maced in the face by a federal agent for unknown reasons. She had been yelling at agents, but we didn't see anything get physical. Well, Portland police officers who were watching from the sidelines then walked over and began collecting videos afterwards showing that macing from the witnesses. And officers on scene told our producer they are reviewing the incident for potential federal wrongdoing. And back out here live at the end of the night, after all the tension and violence had happened, Portland police sent in their rapid response unit and made 3 arrests. We can confirm that one of those arrests was that independent journalist, Nick Sorter. We're going to talk to him shortly to figure out what happened. But bottom line here, guys, a lot of tension, things getting violent out here, and still the National Guard has not been deployed to this building just yet.
Okay.
We'll send it back to you.
Bill Melugin, always in the middle of things. Thank you.
So thank you, Bill, for that. In Portland, where the sun hasn't come up yet, we want to take you to Chicago, Illinois. This is the town of Broadview. It's due west of downtown Chicago, about 12 miles, or 25, 30 minutes given traffic here. So this is another ICE facility in Illinois. And we were watching protesters gather outside the facility a moment ago. I think we've got something else we can share with you that has also happened, okay? This is 8 o'clock Central Time. If we've got it, we'll roll it. If not...
Operation Summer Heat was a 3-month surge by the FBI with our state and local partners. We started at the end of June, and we just wrapped up at the end of September. And what we did was follow one theme: crushing violent crime, one of this administration's key priorities. And we went into every single field office. We have 55 field offices scattered across the country. And today, we're going to unveil the results of Operation Summer Heat and what law enforcement can do when you let good cops be cops. I think a quick historical analysis is important here. You have to recognize that there was an explosion in violent crime, and it didn't happen in a month or 6 months. It happened over the course of years due to the prior administration's lackadaisical approach against crime, and violent criminals took advantage of that. So the FBI, under my leadership, we came in and said, okay, violent crime's exploding. Everybody knows that. We see that. You can't walk around these cities anymore. People are getting shot. Kids are getting shot. Drugs are killing our youth. We need to do what the FBI is best at and crush violent crime. So we targeted all the major cities in the country. So you can't just walk into a city and say, okay, there's 150 law enforcement officers here, let's go arrest people. You have to build a ground game of intelligence that takes months. That's what we did in Memphis. That's what we did in Chicago. That's what we did in New Orleans. And that's why, at President Trump's direction, we went in quietly months ago into these cities to set phase 01. Now we're going in with the Guard to complete that project. And that's the beauty of operations like Summer Heat. Summer Heat had 8,700 arrests. In 3 months, Summer Heat had 2,281 firearms seized permanently off our streets. 3 months, fentanyl, 421 kilograms. By the way, that's enough to kill over 50 million Americans.
50 million.
50 million. On the low end, that's a conservative estimate. Lethal doses off that seizure. 45,000 kilograms of cocaine. We conducted operations that led us to 2,000 indictments and 1,400 convictions. And the bulk of that work came from our violent crime and gang forces. I want to highlight that because that was the focus of Summer Heat. 6,500 of this casework came specifically out of that. And here's something that's not on this chart. Operation Summer Heat found and located almost 1,000 child victims and returned them to safety.
Sexual trafficking?
Victims of sexual trafficking, victims of home abuse, victims of rape and violent crimes against children.
You know, speaking of social media, they're up in arms over George Soros and Open Roads as to whether or not his Open Roads Foundation is supporting terrorist organizations that are anti-America and goes against the better interests of our nation.
So organizations, I can't speak to that directly.
George Soros.
And because I can't comment on whether or not we have an actual investigation.
Okay, that's fair.
Speaking to matters like Antifa, for example, right? And the new EO that the president signed and their designations giving us authorities that we never had. What we are able to do is the one thing I've done my entire career under investigations: follow the money. serve legal process, and follow the money. These groups just don't show up overnight. You don't have hundreds of people surround a courthouse overnight and then move down to LA and cause riots and then move halfway across the country and cause disruptions in Chicago and elsewhere. It is an organized effort that someone or some groups are paying for. And what I can tell the American people is we have open investigations on multiple groups and individuals funding these efforts. We have legal process that has already been executed. The search warrant results are coming in.
You know, should the U.S. formally designate the domestic groups as terrorist organization? If not, was Mr. Director the right to RICO, material support analogs, or case-by-case prosecutions that avoid criminalizing an ideology?
Yes, I think Antifa, specifically speaking, as an example, we have to recognize these groups for what they are. If we as a society just allow these riots to continue, then we as a society are going to be engulfed by the criminal activity these people are doing. LA, you can't attack law enforcement. You can't throw rocks and boulders at law enforcement. You can't in DC assault law enforcement. In Portland, you can't set fire to a federal building and get away with it. How is that acceptable? And it's all being caused. It's not individual acts of violence. It is organized anarchy and chaos. And thanks to the president's initiatives, and when I was there in the Oval Office when he signed it, we are getting after the fight with more resources and tools that we've ever had.
You tell them I'm coming!
It's Thursday morning, just a few days after the governor and our senator was here in Portland stating everything is fine. We are not a hellhole. We are not a war zone. So I'm going to walk through Portland and just see if that's the case. Behind me is a homeless woman injecting heroin into her foot. Knotted out in front of a business. Impossible to get in the front door. I'm sorry, what?
You gotta hit it clear for a tour?
Do I have to hit it clear? No. A homeless swoop that happened yesterday. The tent here moved right there.
Ew, to leave the fucking bitch!
Hey, when is the last time an outreach worker ever asked you if you wanted help? Never?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever approached you and offered you help?
No.
It's a homeless woman asking for her mommy. Under a blanket, smoking fentanyl. Somebody is under there. This homeless woman behind me has lost both her legs on the streets. It's face down on the cement. Behind me is a severely mentally ill homeless man who's been on the streets for about 10 years. Cannot take care of himself. He absolutely needs to be committed, but he's not. This is a homeless man on meth yelling at the construction workers. Very symptomatic, chemically induced psychosis probably. Side note, I worked here exactly 21 years ago. We are already into the second year of ending homelessness in 10 years. Then another 10 years, and now another 10 years. Like, how would you describe Portland?
A social free-for-all.
It's garbage left behind. Look at all the snacks for the protesters, all out here by the leftist NGOs that were part of the invasion, aiding and abetting the invasion. Now they're out here aiding and abetting the insurrection of America, protecting illegal aliens, some of their supplies, got their helmets. And this crap, this protest encampment, allowed out here by the city of Portland, while at the same time, the city of Portland does not allow Portland PD to respond to incidents out here. They don't allow Portland PD to aid ICE in any arrests. In fact, they obstruct ICE. They're not allowing their police to respond to crimes that are being committed out here. We have traitors in our government in cities like Portland that allow this crap. We got Karens like this. You know what NGO it is that's running this? Do you know? Are you part of it? Anything? Nothing? Yeah, so this is allowed by Portland while you have leftist, anarchist, terrorists attacking ICE and the ICE facility. This garbage is left out here to aid and abet them. And then you have Karens like this who are out here working for the NGOs, acting like they're noble. It's like, it's the most pathetic thing.
Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city. It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to restore that. I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it.